And it is a ZVZ! What is random, not so random? So here we're going to be able to really see the threat of the ZVZ come out. Glave should be able to put some pressure on Myrault, or he can even be greedy against Myrault and 12 hatch himself. Myrault, not knowing what his opponent's doing, might not be able to go down the build path to pressure a 12 hatch in the time he scouts it. He may have to make that decision before he has scouting information. Both overlords coming to the middle of the map, going to do that high five. Go to the production tab. Looks like they're opening up with the same build, droned up to 10, making that overlord. Here's where we should see some deviation come up in the builds. Yeah, we see that early pull from Glave right after the overlord pops. It's pretty much an overpull, where you get the overlord then the pull and you continue producing drones. We do see the 12 hatch from Myrault. This is very surprising. A bit of a risk, not knowing what your opponent's doing. But he does know it's Zerg. He should, at least. This drone caught sight of that overlord. And of course these overlords are going to butt heads for a little bit. Actually, no, there's a bit of a space between them. They're just going to wave at each other. But he gets in here and he sees the aggressive build coming out. Going to do some drone harass with this Spit Myrault. So low. One more hit would have took that down. Oh no, 2 more hits. Gonna chase it out. Decides to make it into an evolution chamber. Evolution chambers are always nice to have, but kind of odd to see it going down. I'm a little not liking this building placement. Normally you want to build the spawning pool down here, so you can build the your other tech choice up here. I don't have ref. Okay. But yeah, drones are able to do moving shot attacks. It's very hard to pull off though. See the spine crawler coming down. This base is pretty much dead. It's going to be a bit hard. Actually, we do see some Zerglings coming out. Glave though just kind of walking back home. No reinforcements coming across the map. I think he's just happy to see the expansion there. He's going to go back home. Normally we'll see from Myrault an evolution chamber eventually, you know, after he gets his tech going, and some spine crawlers coming, spore crawlers coming down to deal with the one basic S layer tech. Getting his own expansion, this is going to be a little harder to hold in a few minutes. After the superior larva count of Myrault comes into play, he's going to be able to flood out with a big number of Zerglings. See a equal size Zergling force moving across the map now. With double queen and 2 hatcheries, this is going to be so much larva. And check the production menu. He's actually droning up quite aggressively, moving up to build kind of a wall off. Not too effective with this backdoor, which Glave is now making use of. All of these lings just streaming right in. Ooh, Myrault gets a good block. Able to get his queens a bit angry there, forcing away the Zerglings. Good use of the enraged queens, good reaction time. Just close the door barely in time. Glave opting for the single queen. Going into the Hydra, gonna be a bit interesting to see Hydras play out. Hydras don't do too well when they shoot up against the mutas that's coming out from Myrault. Normally, instead of seeing, and I told Glave Hydras earlier, I think he misunderstood me. Normally you see the Swarmlord come out before you see Hydras. If you want to do a Hydra build, you open with Swarmlord. Because mutas. And it's all because mutas. Some people might even say you want to open mutas first and then go into Swarmlords. If you like, Myrault did last game. And he did that quite well. Little animation moonwalk while it was injecting. Queens don't have to be next to the hatchery to inject. This queen can inject this hatchery from where it is. Ooh, big number of lings coming down, but not quite enough. Double queen. This Hydralis, though, getting a little aggressive, kind of walking its way on the map. No upgrades coming out. Don't know if it's Lurker or... Myrault is playing a very interesting style. He's, expanding to his third. I think he's kind of spotted the Hydra tech and realizes he can just take additional bases. It's going to be very hard for Glave to come out and put on aggression at this third base. He's going to be stuck back in his base defending. And when these mutas show up, they're just going to rip through small numbers of Hydralis. Myrault desperately needs to get out some Swarm Lords if he's going to stay dedicated to this tech. He's not mining from this gas at all. Still droning. This is a very dangerous time. He sees all the mutas coming out. He needs to just devote to emergency spore crawlers and turtle. Yeah, I see the Viper's Nest and the Evolution Chamber coming out, but I don't think it's going to be in time. He's going to have to do some type of counterattack. He needs to do something to delay these mutas from arriving. Trying to spot where the mutas are. Oh, they're already in the base. And they're just wreaking havoc. We're going to be able to pick off all of these Hydralis. Pick off so many drones. Go to the units tab. Geez, drones just falling by almost 10 drones lost there. That was crazy. That's 20 to 31 drones. These Hydras, if we can select a single one, see they do explosive damage, which means they only do 5 damage to mutas instead of the full 10. That's because mutas are a light unit. Flying right into the mutas are not the best thing, but these mutas just have such free reign. Glave's slowly starting to stabilize. He did take a lot of economic damage, and he has a base behind. This is super risky. And look at this, Myrault already swapping into Hydralis, recognizing he sees that the Viper's Nest is down. Glave's bit him in a backwards position. He's having to react to the tech his opponent already has, and his opponent's able to tech switch in advance of that. On top of that, he's on a better economy. Glave's going to have to pull out some pretty big tech moves in order to come across this. One good answer is to go straight to the Lurker Den. Getting Lurker tech out, plus the Swarm Lords, I was able to deal with anything on the ground and most of the things on the air. It's a very immobile and turtle army, so we normally have to use that to expand. Only getting hits on one muta is not what you normally want to see from these Swarm Lords, but it does effectively push them away. These mutas are kind of done for now, but we see 14 Hydralis to the 8 Hydralis. Just the power of Myrault's economy is really kicking into overdrive. The only thing that's really going to keep Glave into this game is going to be some type of tech choice. Now, one thing he can do, he already has the Viper's Nest, and we do see this sometimes, is we see the Vipers themselves come out. Vipers pretty good against the Hydralis. They're able to gloop up the map with the ensnare. It slows down their DPS, slows down their movement speed, and that can equalize things. But they're also able to straight out snipe the Lurkers. And we do see those Lurkers coming in now. Big push though coming in here from Myrault. Myrault had map control. He could have kept his overlords out on the map and saw this coming. He may lose this hatchery. And losing this hatchery is exactly what Myrault needs to do to claw back into this game. Doesn't want to attack up that ramp though. This is such a good position with those Lurkers up there. But doesn't push the Myrault, the blue Zerg, away so he can zone in and kill off that hatchery. Excellent pick off there. Going to retreat back to home. Unfortunately, he did not manage to expand behind this push. That really would have been a good way to solidify his position, is to expand behind the push. Good arc though. These Swarm Lords are going to do light amount of splash against Hydras, but they don't trade super effectively against Hydras. This base though is just going to be took. Lurkers here defending it. It's going to be very hard for Zerg to come in and do anything about this. He could try some aggression from this ramp. This spine here is just such a great aggressive option because it puts you in between the main base and the expansions. A very good map architecture here on 2.0. Now this is something you just never saw on Brutal. You never saw a big mass of Hydras go up against a big, massive Hydra lurk. And for any of you who don't know how this goes, Hydralists get wrecked by lurkers. The Viper player, you know, he got the Viper's Nest to get the Swarm Lords. You normally do see Vipers coming out of this. Missing the Vipers here is just going to mean he cannot deal with these lurkers. These lurkers are going to do so much damage. Also, another way of dealing with it is to go ahead and grab a couple of mutas of your own. After you kind of dominated anti-air from the ground with the Swarm Hose, you can now check into Hydras yourself. Mutas yourself, and force the opposing player into Swarm Lords in order to deal with them, because Hydras deal so poorly with them. You see these Lurker Spines just wreck Hydralisk so badly, and he's slowly picking off the Swarm Lords. If he can just pick off enough of the Swarm Lords, he'll be able to take back the mutas. He's in such a strong position now. He should just be able to slowly push forward. You can see the Overlord speed is out, but those Overlords are getting targeted down. You can Scourge down Overlord. It does take 2 Scourge. Scourge do 110 damage, and Overlords only have 200 health. It's just there's so many of them, it's unlikely to rely on only Scourge to bust down. But I would say you don't have to worry about Scourging down the Overlord. The Lurkers just trade so effectively. For one, they are medium units, so Hydras only do 15 damage to them. Or no, 11 damage. I don't know how to count. That would be for Dragoons. Dragoons only do 15 damage. See, the Lurker Spines just do so much splash. And you can see the supply count. Myrault's now well ahead. Just from picking up so much of this Hydra focused army. Let's go to the production tab. See what tech options coming out. Myrault's opting, Glave's opting for Burrow. He'll be able to get the Tunneling Claws, which is awesome to see. I really like to see Burrow, Tunneling Claws coming out. He still doesn't have Lurker Tech yet. Still doesn't have Spawn Locust either. Those are 2 really key upgrades. Really don't want to leave home without them. But the Hive Tech is coming out. Plague is super effective against Zerg Hydra blobs. If you can get a Plague off and then fly in with a handful of mutas to Glave bounce all of them to death, it's super effective. Good positioning here by Myrault, locking down the spine, bringing the attack into here. He's taking the space as well. A couple of Zerglings though, gonna try that back door. We got an Overlord here, acting as Sentinel. He checks his space first to make sure nothing's going on. He may try to come down in here and kill a drone line. Just not a drone line here. Drones just got Maynard over. How's that for life? You just get noticed that the place you just got assigned to as a worker is getting demolished. Probably should have gone for the drones there. Hydralists do come in and clean it up. Huge number of Hydralists. Zerglings can't deal with that. Lurkers coming in, trying to burrow. Does get cleaned up. We can see Myrault's army... Glave's army supply is called up to Myrault because Myrault's doing a lot of teching. He is going into Adrenaline Grands, which is going to do so well against all of these Hydras. He still doesn't have Lurkers yet. No Lurkers. He's getting heavy upgrades. Still no tech. Really, Glave's just stuck on tier 1 units, and he's holding out with that because Lurkers aren't that great at attacking into this many Hydralists. But as soon as any tier 3 comes out, it's just going to be really devastating, particularly the Defiler. Yeah, we see the Defiler's mound coming down right now. These Defilers are going to do well, but a big engagement going down. The Lurker's not in the best position to deal with this, and a lot of those Hydralists did die. Myrault's spreading that creep though. Creep's very, very nice in ZBZ because the Overlords, even though they can be very active, most Zerg players aren't used to having to clear out creep. Normally the game doesn't get in a long enough state for creep to come into effect. And see, all of this is solely because of the Swarm Lord. If the Swarm Lord was not in this game, you would never be seeing Hydra versus Hydra lurk. It just wouldn't be a thing. Huge number of Defilers though coming out. There's like 5 Defilers being made at once. A bit of an overkill on Defilers. but he's going to have plenty of energy to be able to Plague and Swarm. Swarm's really going to stop these Hydras from doing anything. Lurkers under Dark Swarm is such a nuisance to have to deal with. Although Myrault, though, kind of pulling out of position. He doesn't quite have Consume yet. He made so many. Did he even research Consume? No. Just now finished. Plague, though, queued up. He does not have Consumes, consuming up some Zerglings. Not many Zerglings. He might have to eat a couple Hydras, which is just fine. It's worth it to have the spells. Now he's coming in. Dark Swarm going down. These Hydras just not going to be effective. He needs to recognize that Dark Swarm's there and pull out, and he is. He's just going to be pushed all the way back to his base. This Defiler can constantly eat his own army and keep pushing. I think he really should continue pushing. Just keep casting that Dark Swarm. He has so many Defilers here. You can just really go for it here. I think he can put enough pressure to crack his opponent. He might be waiting for the Plague, and Plague on this number of Hydras is going to be so juicy. A couple of Queens in the front. Queens to heal Lurkers is okay. Now, as a tech choice, Ultras is not that super good. Hydras, they do explosive damage, so they're going to do full damage to the Ultras. But if your opponent is predominantly on Lurkers, Ultras actually do pretty good. You see the Cracklings coming out, just decimating all of the Ultras, all of the Hydralisks, and these Dark Swarm plus Cracklings is just too good. GG, well played, come out. Very nice ZBZ, something we don't get to see very often. So we're going to go into game number